A full schedule for the Bahamian delegation led by Prime Minister Christie as major talks begin in China. I'm Clint Watson. We're there.
An American man facing a magistrate today.
PLP National Chairman Bradley Roberts calling Dr. Hubert Minnis a flip-flopper on fat. We'll tell you more coming up.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Bahamian and Chinese governments engaged in high-level talks in the Far East. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson. The Bahamas seeking to secure a new airlift, a new indoor stadium, and new partnership for BAMSI during government's week-long visit to the People's Republic of China. The 13-member delegation led by Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, will have a busy and aggressive schedule, meeting with the heads of the Chinese government and private investors. Our Clint Watson tonight speaks one-on-one with the Prime Minister on the week ahead.
There are two main issues on the table when Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, meets with both the Premier and President of the People's Republic of China this week.
We are in the process of settling an air services agreement between the People's Republic of China and the Bahamas. And we hope to sign that agreement whilst we're in China, but governing flights between China and the Bahamas and with reciprocal rights. We also have been discussing and negotiating an agreement with one of the universities in China called Ocean University, who would be entering into an agreement with BAMSI to have exchanges and to provide technical assistance. And so this university is called Ocean University, and so we expect whilst we're there to sign an agreement to that effect as well.
Prior to this trip, Mr. Christie would have spoken with the President of the People's Republic of China, particularly when it comes to getting businesses from China to invest in the Bahamas.
That I wanted him to agree with me that we would have a different regime, one in which the predominant workers will be Bahamian and not Chinese, and he agreed. And that is interesting because now the China Construction has purchased the Hilton Hotel, will commence work in April and predominantly using Bahamian labor.
The government also looking to get assistance to provide technical support for climate change through energy-efficient products. That's also on the table for discussion. Now, the last time the Prime Minister was here was during his first term in office between 2002 and 2007. He was able to get the Chinese government to give the National Stadium as a gift. He's looking now to get another gift along that same line for young people. While here, Mr. Christie will visit with the Genting Group, who owns Resorts World Bimini, to discuss future interests for Bimini, as well as the principles of Bahama to discuss airlift.
There's one particular issue that I'm hoping that to speak to Chinese investors about, and that is the West End development, the game development. So we're going to be very active. We expect to have some results of consequence from this trip.
Aside from these bilateral talks, Mr. Christie would also perform his first official duty as the incoming chairman of CARICOM by addressing the first ministerial meeting of the Forum of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States and the People's Republic of China, called the CELAC China Forum.
I propose, obviously, to represent the region on issues that are relevant to the region and China, and to emphasize the continuing necessity for China to see in the region a source of investment and one of great cooperation and collaboration.
Mr. Christie's arrival has made headlines throughout China television, and that's perhaps because of the importance of the relationship between the Bahamas and China and the strong friendship that we enjoy. It's something Mr. Christie hopes on building on while here this week. In Beijing, China, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Well, thanks a lot, Clint. 29-year-old American Heath John Henry is behind bars awaiting trial after being arraigned on an attempted murder charge today. The American is accused of attempting to kill Bahamian Jonathan Raming back on December 30th while on Current Island, Eleuthera. Raming was airlifted to the capital after being shot to the upper body. He's still detained in hospital. Henry is also accused of having 2 ounces of marijuana in his possession on January 2nd, an allegation he denies. Bail was deferred after Police Prosecutor Assistant Superintendent Clifford Daxon objected on the grounds that Henry was previous convictions for drugs possession. The prosecutor also wanted to check Henry's status after his attorney Michael Kemp indicated that he is also a Bahamian. Henry returns to court on January 26. Police have charged 19-year-old Cadero Pelican with the December 31st attempted murder of 2 police officers and 2 civilians. Court papers show that on December 31st, Pelican attempted to kill Police Inspector Raynell Wood, Detective Corporal George Ward, and Carlton and Cleo Sweeting. Pelican was not required to enter a plea. A voluntary bill of indictment will be filed. He's being held without bail at Fox Hill Prison awaiting trial. Authorities are trying to find this dark-colored Honda Civic, which they believe was used by culprits who shot a police officer in Nassau Village on Sunday. Police calling on members of the public to come forward with any information so that they can locate the car and the suspects. According to reports, the officer on duty was driving his vehicle on Alexandria Boulevard when he was accosted by 2 men who pulled up in a vehicle behind him and opened fire. The officer was shot to the back of the head. He was rushed to hospital where he underwent surgery and remains in stable condition. Now, once again, anyone with information that can assist the police in this case should give them a call at 919 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Florida has now been given the green light for same-sex marriages as of today, after a U.S. court district ruled the state's same-sex marriage ban unconstitutional. With Florida so close to home, one representative of the LGBT community says this is welcome news. However, a local pastor is condemning it. Arjuna Noel Ferguson has more.
Florida became the 36th state to allow same-sex marriage as a Miami judge authorized a Dade County clerk to start issuing licenses to same-sex couples. The judge then personally performed some of the first weddings at a courthouse. Now, this move could have an impact on the local level as Florida is our closest neighbor to the north. LGBT Representative Erin Green calls it a positive step for the LGBT community.
I hope that Bahamians will see that this is what democracy is. It is ensuring that all citizens have equal and equitable participation in nation building. This is a legal issue, separate from a religious issue, that the state is obligated by the Constitution.
But can LGBT Bahamians now flock to Florida to get married? Green shared her views on this.
I'm certain that in the next 10 years, we're going to see tons of Bahamians, of LGBTI Bahamians traveling north to get married, whether their marriage is legally recognized in the Bahamas or not.
Green stressed, though, that pushing for same-sex marriage in the Bahamas is not a priority for them at this time. Meanwhile, head of Great Commission Ministries, Walter Hanschel, says Bahamians should not expect for that type of law to be allowed here. He says this is something those in the Christian community will remain resolute about.
That's why we call it holy matrimony. And God will never authorize gay marriages. There's no such thing as gay marriages. Marriage is between a man and a woman, a born man and a born woman.
Hanschel added that while he understands the need for equal opportunity, he believes same-sex marriage is not a part of that equation.
When it comes to the Bible, we are governed by the Word of God, not by equal rights. We are governed by God's decree. And God's Word is opposed, diametrically opposed to same-sex marriage. As a result, we who stand for Christ are totally opposed to same-sex marriage. We will never, ever support it.
Now, there was a recent debate on same-sex marriage with the proposed changes to the Constitution. This involves the insertion of the word sex in Article 26, making it unconstitutional to discriminate based on whether or not someone is male or female. Government officials have said that the proposed changes will not allow same-sex marriage. From the newsroom, I'm Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
The critical care block getting a special blessing today. And the BAIC chairman spending his final days at the corporation before heading to another post. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.